Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We really appreciate it. Today is the last day of Industry Week, and we're going to be talking about technology and SaaS. So we're really excited. This has been an absolute pleasure this week, talking to everybody and giving out some of these tips. We put a lot of thought and a lot of work into it. So we really appreciate everyone joining every day. And today is just absolutely the best way to cap it off, and we're going to end it with a bang, and we're just really excited for everyone here. So my name is Andrew Duncan. If you joined this week, thank you for coming again. I am the Senior Partner Account Manager at Cloud Adoption Solutions, and we're just really thrilled to have you here. So we're going to kick things off. Cloud Adoption Solutions is a 100% women-owned Salesforce partner, and as the slide says, we focus on serving businesses through focus on Salesforce optimization, and adoption. So we work with healthcare, life sciences, technology, and professional services, and anybody out there who needs a little bit of Salesforce help. Please do stick around until the end. We will be answering any questions you have. So if you do have a question, please drop it in the question box below, or you can message us directly. But please do reach out and stay till the end, because we'll answer those and try to make sure that everyone has their questions thoroughly looked at. And then additionally too, this week we will be giving away a swag bag every day. So every day someone has received one. So today is the last day to get a swag bag. We will be randomly picking somebody at the end. So stick around for a chance to win. It has the very coveted gray Cloud Adoption Solutions t-shirt. It's very comfy. I can attest to that. I have one. So if you want to win one and some stickers and some fun stuff, stick around until the end. But we're going to go ahead and get right into it. We'll present some solutions, and Lucas and Natalie will be hearing from both of them today, which is great. So for the first challenge for technology and SaaS, like we've done this week, we wanted to use actual specific examples. So without naming the person, we picked some clients and some direct contacts that had brought us questions in the past that we thought were very pertinent to this week. So the first person we chose was a CIO. Someone we work with a lot. We work with a lot of CIOs. Information officers are really pivotal to the success of a company. They're in charge of making sure the technology is working right, that they're ahead of the curve, because once you're behind in 2020, you're really far behind. You want to stay ahead of everything. So the number one challenges that they kind of face in this role is sensitive client data must be protected. So this goes across the board for most companies, but especially for technology and SaaS companies, making sure that sensitive data is protected, it is locked away, and there's no chance for anybody to hack in there and gain access. Customization is needed for a clean workflow. So every company is incredibly different. That's the beautiful and kind of hindering thing about Salesforce, is that it's so big and easy to customize. But the thing is you need to make it work for the company in specific. It needs to have your language, and it needs to work with the vocab that's used in the office, and it should be customized. So a clean workflow is a customized one. And then documentation is done largely outside of Salesforce, and that causes disruption. Everybody knows it. Everybody maybe is used to using a pen and paper, jotting quick notes down. It's so easy to lose them. I clean my desk once a week. I'm a little crazy. And if I only use paper, I would be all over the place. So thankfully I log everything in Salesforce. But if the documentation, whether it be onboarding, note-taking, prospecting, lead lists, is done outside of Salesforce, it can absolutely hinder, the lapses and the way that you guys approach a cadence. So causing that disruption, you don't want that to happen. You don't want lapses in communication. So documenting inside Salesforce is very important. So Shannon, what can we do to solve some of these challenges?
Great. Thanks, Andrew. Hey, everybody. I'm Shannon Gregg. I'm the president of Cloud Adoption Solutions. And I will tell you, one of our most favorite things is to work like somebody with this particular CIO who came and said, hey, look, we've tried to solve this challenge. We want some help. We want you to teach us along the way. We want to figure out how to make this work for us. But we are doing so many things manually, and they're one of the fortunate sort of companies during the pandemic who experienced a large volume of growth. So they found with the digitization, with everybody working from home, and all of a sudden being faced with moving all of their operations online, they found that their volume exposed a lot of challenges in their process, right? So they found that they had this process that was really working for them until it got stressed with rapid scalability. So we sat down and said to the CIO, okay, we're going to work on design and then building and testing out that design to make sure that what we come up with works for you so you won't be faced with the same problem again, right? One of the great things we know about all of our technology and SaaS customers is they're focused on growth. So they're looking to say, how do we make technology work for us? How do we sit inside of that golden triangle of people, process, and technology and make that all work together? So the solution that Lucas designed for them was a one-to-many with a custom object for location. So anybody out here who's working in any, even if you're working in government or in education, a lot of times what you have is more than one location. And so you're faced with saying, how do I make sure that we can provision our products or our services to multiple locations? So that solution was one that we put together as a design and then stress tested. And then there was a flow builder screen flow, which I love so much. I thought this was so cool because it asks for your user to interact. So if you're dealing with a host of salespeople or customer success people or support people, it takes them through one by one. So you don't have to send out a really long SOP documentation that says, do this step first, do this step next, because that can become really burdensome, especially when people aren't all sitting physically in the office. So the screen flow is super, super cool. And then one of the other things that it did that I thought was really cool from a data integrity and hygiene standpoint was the parent opportunity and all of the child opportunities could stay in sync with each other in terms of their stage, their close date, and their owner, which is really powerful, super, super powerful. I know sometimes when we're doing things inside of Salesforce, if I'm the one creating it, it automatically puts it in my name and it may be belonging to Andrew. And so this was one of the things that I thought was really, really juicy. So I know you're all sitting there like, oh, this sounds like fun. I can't wait to see it. So I want to introduce you to Lucas Feldman from our Salesforce service delivery department, and he is going to give you a demonstration of exactly how this can go down and you can apply this to your organization.
Thank you, Shannon. All right, we're going to dive in here and get real nerdy with some of the architecture that we used to build this solution. But I'm going to make it simple for you to visualize it. All right, so we are in my development org here. And we're at the opportunity level, as you can see, right? And I'm going to show you a couple of things that can happen here. So like Shannon talked about, we have this relationship between opportunities. We have a parent opportunity, as you can see here, and we're driving that by record types. And then we have product locations. And these are simply just locations where you would provision your products. And at those product location opportunities, you can add line items. That's the really cool part of this solution. Okay, so let's go take a look at a little chart I have here, diagramming this architecture so you can understand it a little bit better. Right, here is our account, okay? And accounts always have multiple contacts, right? One to many. This is our custom object that we were referencing called location. So against the account, you could build locations. You could build 1, you could build 5, maybe you have 100 locations you're provisioning products to. You can build all those at the account level, right? And then you can relate those to your product location opportunity. But the way this architecture is set up, this still gives you the full functionality of Salesforce and able to use products and line items at your opportunity level, which then drives your revenue. And we'll show you how we're summing the revenue amount and some other fields up to the parent so that you can still run your standard reporting and get all the full functionality out of Salesforce of using the opportunity object. Right, and along with our product locations, you can see here is opportunity line items, right? Very important. Those are all your products you're going to provision. And now you can provision them to each location with the way we have this set up. So let's go back, take a look at our opportunity. Now, before we jump in and I show you, let's just get a little bit deeper. I'm going to show you. So this is our deep clone tool that I'm going to demo for you. So we built all this automation with flows, and this is the screen flow Shannon was mentioning, and I'll show you how that works. But basically it's a deep cloning tool. So the user, right, say you have 100 locations and those all have very similar line items. The user can start at one of those locations as a template, and they can use this tool and they can just keep cloning, but they're not only cloning one location. The way this is built, they can clone 5 or 10 or 20 locations at one time. and make all new product locations underneath one parent opportunity. So really cool stuff here. And then we have some more flows that we're helping to keep things in sync, like Shannon mentioned, with stage, close date, and owner. And then one other feature we added on is, I just saw this happen, forecast. Forecasting can be a big thing in Salesforce. If you want to use the standard forecasting app, you probably don't want all those locations showing up in the forecast, right? So we have some automation setting the forecast category of those product locations to omitted from the forecast. So you can really drive and see all your metrics just from this parent opportunity, and just make it easier to navigate and do reporting inside Salesforce. So let's head back to our opportunity. We're at the parent level, remember, right? And let's take a look at, so I already have a product location created. It's a child of this opportunity, right? If the user wanted to make a new one manually, they can use this cool little button here and just search for a new location. They're all kind of driven by the address. And so, you can get a list of them coming up, as you can see here. But we already have one in there, and we're gonna go down to that level. And there's already some line items on here. So you can see a couple things. Everything's in sync with the parent opportunity, and the forecast category is omitted. Let's jump down. Right, so here's our line items. So the scenario we're laying out here is most of these, or all of these line items, should end up at every location that you're provisioning your products. So I have this, here's our screen flow that we were talking about. It's built right here at the bottom. So the user always has access to this, right? So all I have to do is click next to begin. And here we are. So there's a couple things happening here. All the user has to do is pick the correct parent opportunity they want these to end up under, right? Because we have that relationship, right? Everything is under a parent opportunity. And then over here, we have checkboxes of all the locations that are created at the account level. And I'll show you those after we run through this. So the user would say, we want to create 4 more product locations, all with these line items on them. It's as easy as choosing the correct parent opportunity, putting a checkbox next to that location, and hitting next. Everything is going to run in the background. Flow is going to do all the heavy work. And there we go. So we have a couple options here too. This is just, additional features you can add on. It's called flow finish. You can kind of ask the user where they want to end up, or, you can put them at a certain place. So we'll just go back to the parent opportunity here. Right, so we're at the top level. So here you go, you can see, now we have 5 product locations. We had 1, we added 4 more, and now we have 5, all with the same line items that we started with. Now let's go jump up to the account. And I want to show you the locations object. So here we are at the account level. It's related to the account, right? They're child records, and you can see all the locations. Super easy for a user to make a new location. You can even run them in, if you give them to your admin as like a CSV sheet, it's just simple fields here, address, city, state, right? Super simple. Some people would put maybe like address verification behind this. The possibilities are endless what you could do with this, but really cool. Let's go back to our opportunity. So a couple of things we want to point out here. The amount field, that is summing all of the locations, right? So we talked about driving our metrics with our parent opportunity. You can see all these amounts sum and equal the opportunity amount. Really cool. Let's do one more little demo here. Let's see, so we can see everything is at qualification stage. Say the user moves this to needs analysis. We'll mark that as the current stage, right? We can see all the child, which we call product locations, moved along. Still keeping the forecast category omitted, but keeping everything in sync. helps everyone understand where everything is at, and makes the whole overall process easier for everyone. Building all that automation to run in the background and taking all of the burden out of the user's hands, right? That was the whole idea here. I think this is a really cool and good solution that clients often come to consultants for is, hey, how can I make multiple locations work in the architecture with inside Salesforce, right? Because, if you go to the account, there's only one address, billing headquarters, and maybe, the shipping address. So this is a common problem, I think, within Salesforce, and this is a great solution. Thank you.
I love this one so much because we've all been faced with this scenario where we need to clone or we want to copy. And when you're teaching your users, here's how to do something that is a multi-step process that's very complicated, understanding, you all know I'm working on my PhD in Salesforce, and understanding everybody learns a little bit differently. And so you're then faced with, do I produce a video and SOP documentation and put some help text inside of Salesforce? If you can solve that with automation, just like this, it cuts probably so much time off of your users and adds a few years to your life too, as the person who's administering the system, which is really cool.
Absolutely, and it's a great solution. So why don't we go ahead and move along? Thank you so much, Lucas, for that demo. Really amazing stuff, so helpful. Thank you for taking the time to create it. So we're going to move right along for you guys. You know where you'd like to be punctual. So next, with technology and SaaS, we have challenge number 2. So the VP of Customer Success, a very common job, very important within these verticals. So leveraging technology for a team that is having adoption issues. It's something that we see all the time. It's literally why adoption is in our name at Cloud Adoption Solutions. So using technology and using it for a team that is specifically having issues, making sure that you're programming correctly and understanding correctly and training. So defining territory and assignment is done in third-party apps. We see this all the time. People have a territory or they have lead assignment or generation, and it's done outside of Salesforce. And what that does is it creates a lapse in communication. If they're not properly integrated, it can be really confusing for a sales staff, and then in the end, attribute to some adoption issues as well. And then onboarding new clients and close-won opportunities is also done outside Salesforce. So onboarding is that really crucial ending process where you want to have a smooth transition, you want everybody to be on the same page, and you want to be able to take that data and use it to understand your sales process better as well, and your whole business process. The problem when you do it outside of Salesforce, or it's not communicating with Salesforce, is you run into that lapse in communication and opportunity, and you're not able to report on those. So Shannon, what are some ways that we can alleviate these issues and increase adoption?
Yeah, this one was really great. We talked to this VP of Customer Success when she came with this problem. And one of the first things that Andrew asked her is, how are you measured? What are you measured on? And she said in her annual review, onboarding was a huge part of it. KPIs and metrics around onboarding were huge for her, and it was really hard for her to deliver that information. And she found that so many of their manual processes were really getting her tripped up. So that as they were starting to grow, they found that they really needed to identify ways to improve this onboarding process. So Natalie worked on this one, and it was a really, really cool way to deal with this problem and make things so much more seamless for this company. So she created a custom onboarding object after she worked with them. Same thing. She used that design, build, test approach to say, okay, let's try to get underneath the philosophy. What's the process? How do things happen? And then she said, great, now we're going to create this custom onboarding object that as soon as an opportunity is marked closed won, it's going to start to fire some things that will make sure nothing slips through the cracks. And if you are working in customer success, that is literally your job, making sure nothing slips through the cracks. So then she said, who else is involved in this? And this particular VP of Customer Success basically said the entire organization. As soon as we get a contract signature, sales operations, contracts, IT, marketing, they're all involved. Everybody has to get involved. And there's so many things that move so quickly that we're afraid things are going to start to fall through the cracks. So This is going to be a really fun demo. And Natalie, I know this is one that you have developed over many, many years, being a Salesforce admin in an end user environment. And now as a consultant, it's something that you bring to a lot of organizations. And we see it streamlining their business processes and letting their customer success team do even more things to delight their customers.
Yeah, thanks, Shannon. I think one of the most stressful parts of a salesperson's job is not just getting the sale, but once that sale is obtained, like wrangling the entire org to get it implemented. So if you're getting yourself to a place where you've won, you've got the verbal, you want to move forward with the project, you have to involve so many people, and all the implementation is done downstream. And some of those people may not be in Salesforce, some may not even be in your building. So the purpose of the object that we created today is to give all of the individuals involved in this project a place to go and to collaborate. So what I'm showing here is a typical opportunity record, and I'm just going to be the salesperson for the moment. And I've won, I've got my verbal, I want to move this to a closed won stage so that I can, start celebrating and bringing in the rest of the individuals involved in this process to get my client and the project up and running. So you see that I closed the opportunity, and now on the right side, there's a related list here called onboarding, and it launched a record, and we're calling this an onboarding record. So if I click on this record, it takes me to a form or a new page with lots of information. The point of this record is to build accountability and to bring collaboration to the project. So typically when the project starts, you're going to have many people involved, multiple departments. So sales, contracts, IT, like you mentioned, marketing, finance. And all of those people are going to have individual tasks throughout this project itself. So the record is capturing some things up top here. So we have a path. You're able to use the path functionality on this record just like you can for an opportunity. The onboarding project itself, it's going to start as a new project. It's going to go through in progress, finalize, and eventually it's going to be launched, which is the final outcome. We're pulling in the opportunity name, the client name, and all this comes right off the opportunity record by way of formula fields. You see the close date, who the owner was, the salesperson. And then we get into the custom sections. So we have a section here for sales. So what the intention here is the salesperson will come to their onboarding record and start to work on their tasks. So first thing they need to do is to schedule an internal meeting. They need to send the survey out to their client and submit a contract request. So these 3 items are being maintained on this record. I'm going to save it just so you can see we're building a history. And think about it in this manner. Any field that you see on here can also be reportable. So if later on down the line, I want to produce a report that shows all the onboarding records out there that don't have surveys, we can easily pull up that information. So next up, every project is going to have a sales operations lead, and typically this is the person who is going to manage this record. So they're going to be assigned right from the beginning, and they're going to be the ones to possibly create tasks for the project team. They're going to review the closed won checklist. They're going to update the commission table. Let's click save on here again so we can keep building a history. Next up, we have contracts. So sales submitted their contract request. We're going to designate a coordinator, and then we're going to start capturing dates as things happen. So when did the MSA get created? When was it sent to the client? When was it countersigned? So things like that. Same with creating an SOW. If we're capturing these dates, they're also reportable. So we can easily pull a report that says how many outstanding SOWs do we have, things like that, so that the contract approver can come in here one day and say, oh, we're missing some things. We need to start gathering our information. Let's move on to IT. We need to designate an IT coordinator. They may have to set the client up in backend systems. So we're going to assign those tasks to that person. We also have marketing who's involved. Marketing typically sends out a welcome package, or they'll set up the client for their engagement journey. So we need to make sure this person is assigned. Finance is going to need to set up billing. So we have to set up that billing portal and create invoice delivery. And last but not least, we have project management, the person who's going to be holding all of this project together. Mary's going to need to schedule a kickoff meeting. So we're going to populate all this information. So as I save it, we're building history, we're building accountability, and it's all in one place. So let's just show you how we can move this onboarding through its own life cycle. We can move it to in progress, and eventually we want to launch it so we can get to its final state. So when you think about the word adoption, you're bringing in all of these departments onto this one form, and it gives you not an excuse, but it gives you a reason for everyone to be logging in on a daily basis. Not only can they see the opportunity record, but they can see the status of the onboarding project at any moment and who's assigned to what. This brings me to a list view. So let's take a look at this list view, is where you can start your reporting journey. If you want to see who isn't assigned to a specific onboarding project, you can tell by the blank fields. And since this is in a list view format, you can easily assign people. And let's fill out the blanks on some of these. Click save. Then anyone can come and take a look at this list view and just see who isn't assigned and from what department. And typically that sales operations lead is going to want to navigate to that person and get them assigned and then get the job done.
Amazing. Awesome stuff, Natalie. Just really, really inspiring demo. Thank you so much.
Sure.
All right. So it looks like, I know we have a couple questions that came in through the private messages. So Shannon, can we go ahead and answer some of those?
I've got 2 of them so far. If anybody else has one, please feel free to throw it into either the chat box or the Q&A box. And as these ones came in, I was like, ooh, I think Lucas and Natalie both need to weigh in on both of these. So you two, it's time to be in the hot seat. The first one is an awesome question, really pertinent to so many of the organizations using Salesforce. How do I approach renewal opportunities in my Salesforce org?
That's a good question. Do you want me to go first, Lucas?
Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah.
Natalie.
Cool. All right. I've seen this done in a couple of different ways. One of which, let's say you're working through your opportunity, it's closed won, and 6-12 months from now, there's going to be another need. You could potentially set up an automated task to go out to the opportunity owner once that opportunity is closed won. The task subject could be follow up on renewal or just something similar to that. And if you go the task route, that's a good way to go if you want to keep your pipeline clean. But the other way of working on a renewal situation is to, once you close that opportunity, to produce a new opportunity, a renewal opportunity with a close date that's a year out. Give it a certain stage to keep it out of pipeline view so it doesn't get a little bit cloudy. But I think depending on how you want to manage, reporting and dashboards, you can either do a task, automated task, or automated renewal opportunity.
How about you, Lucas? What do you think?
Natalie took a lot of the answer I was going to say there, but to build on that, yeah, I love automation. I love building automation, right? So I would set up an automation. I could take another angle at this automation. We have some newer tools in Salesforce. We could set up, we could schedule flows now, right? So we could set up flow to run every week and go look for closed opportunities, right? And check how long ago they were closed. And then maybe start sending out reminders to the users. The owner of the opportunity would be the user, right? A reminder task or an email like, hey, your renewal is coming up. And you could do this in stages. Maybe go start 90 days out, then 60 days out, then 30 days out. Get that renewal in that thought of that opportunity owner, and and start to get things working. And then along with that, I would definitely build some kind of automation to clone everything. A lot of renewals are the same thing, or they're just a few product tweaks here and there, maybe a couple pricing changes, right? Save the user all that trouble of duplicating all that data again, and set up automation to clone that for you.
That's great. I love it. And great question. You know, so many times we see renewal opportunities are actually owned by a different team than who initially sold the opportunity. So that idea of, you know, cloning and bringing over all the information is so helpful whenever there's a handoff to a different renewals team. That was great. Thank you both. The second one, and this is juicy. I love this question. How do I create a tech stack that has Salesforce in the center of it to reduce user burden? Oh, that was a good question.
I'll go first this time.
Okay.
Again, with me thinking my logical automation process ways I think to keep Salesforce in the center, you want to put it in the center and do integrations, you know, connect it to your other systems, make it be at the top level where, you know, you're starting with your leads, converting to opportunities, accounts, and contacts. You have all that data populated. Make it work for you. Don't make your whole team duplicate it into another system. You know, especially along with what I demoed today with provisioning products at multiple locations. You know, you could connect your Salesforce to your customer database, whatever that you might use, like MySQL or something like that, and also whatever provisioning system you use, right? So as the opportunity owners build, as a sales team builds these opportunities with all your line items, you can then pass all that data on to your other systems, and that'll roll out to your service delivery team. Billing, you know, the possibilities are kind of endless there. Just keep pushing that data to all your other systems, starting with Salesforce.
Yeah, I completely agree with the integration piece. I think I would also add on to that, doing an audit, just basically taking an audit, an inventory of what you're currently using, and not only looking at the systems and apps, but look at those Excel spreadsheets that you're holding on to. Those can simply be entered into Salesforce as a custom object, as we've been showing all week long throughout these webinars. So taking a look at your current inventory by performing an audit, and like Lucas mentioned, seeing what of those could be integrated with Salesforce. And I think the third important piece would be just having a plan, a communication plan for a launch, so that everyone gets on the same page with using Salesforce as the single source of truth. I think if everyone is on board from the top down, it'll make that transition a little bit easier.
Absolutely.
That's great. Those are good responses. And I think we've seen Salesforce themselves talk about Salesforce be the single source of truth, and then maturing into the single source of engagement, and then maturing into the place for that customer 360. And I think one of the things that I want to tell everybody who's joined us today, don't feel overwhelmed by this. Like you have to do it all at once. You know, you should feel comfortable doing it in iterative steps so that you can continue to test out, you know, how does this make things better? And then tell all of your users, look at the things we did to make this better, which is a good way for you to keep gaining their trust.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I don't see any more questions coming in the question box, and I don't have any more private chat. So it looks like we're all out of questions. So thank you so much, guys, for answering those and for the 2 demos. They were really enlightening, and I know you put a lot of work in. So thank you so much. Our last order of business is to select someone for the swag bag giveaway. So I know Shannon has a randomizer on her phone. If you want to go ahead and get that out, and let's see who is the winner.
All right, I got a number 4, which is Emily W. Emily W., if you could send us your t-shirt size and your address, we will send you out your swag bag ASAP. That will be really fun and exciting.
Well, thank you so much. Amazing. Congratulations, Emily. But everybody, thank you so much for joining. This has been an absolute blast of a week for us. We're really excited to do it. So from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for joining. For the last day of Industry Week, we're going to go ahead and sign off. So thank you so very much. Really appreciate it, and have a wonderful weekend. And we'll see you later.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.